It is Thursday, May 22nd, and this is your weekly market watch for Seattle, Washington. Hello and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking about what's going on in the Seattle real estate market. The market is definitely shifting and changing week by week. So let's take a minute to dive into the numbers and talk exactly about what's going on. So if you've been here for a while, you know that we've seen the interest rates go from above 7% last year in 2024, the end of 2024, down to about 6.9, then 6.8. And just recently, the rates shot back up, so they are currently at 7.07 today for a 30-year fixed rate and 6.37% for a 15-year fixed rate. Now, the 30-year FHA and VA are at 6.53 and 6.54 respectively. So these rates have definitely gone up. Again, this impacts how much a buyer can afford and overall just the buyer's appetite to be out shopping in the market. So the fact that these rates have gone back up is definitely not helping sellers offload their properties or get them under contract because buyers are having to pay more monthly with this higher interest rate. Now, yesterday, those rates were at about 7.03, so they have gone up just a little bit, but we saw this start at the beginning of last week, really. We saw rates start to go up and this really start to change. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the economy. There's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen. This definitely impacts rates. Some people think that the Fed will cut the rate, especially if we go into a recession, which may be true. I still think that probably the best prediction I've heard is that rates will come down to about 6.5% by the end of the year. But right now we're almost to the middle of the year and rates have just gone back up. So there's really no guarantee that those will come down. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that we are seeing more and more homes listed for sale. Again, it's a seasonal peak of the year, right around May, June, but we're really seeing more homes. We just surpassed the number that we saw last year at the peak and the few years prior to that. So just in April 2025 in Seattle, we saw 2,375 homes on the market at any given time. The last time we were over that number was in September 2020 when we saw 2,509 homes on the market. We have not hit this many since that time back in September 2020. So this means that more homes are listed for sale. It's a great opportunity for buyers because there's a lot on the market that you can choose from, and we're starting to see those bidding wars go away. Of course, there are homes that are really unique, everything's done really nicely. Those still have, 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8 offers we heard last week. But for the homes that are not as desirable, and specifically townhomes and condos, there is a lot of opportunity right now in this market to be able to negotiate on those and get a really great price and get some discounts from the seller. So if you've been thinking about getting into the market as a buyer and you're not as impacted by the stock market fluctuations, maybe you don't have money in the stock market or you have less money, or you pulled it out before this volatility of the stock market, now could be the best time to invest because you have a little bit more flexibility with the sellers not being able to get the price maybe that they're asking and sitting on the market a little bit longer. So this may be actually the perfect time to get into the market if you've been thinking about it. But what does this mean for sellers? Well, sellers, you are now having more competition than you've had over the past basically 5 years. So when you are going to market, you need to understand how to price the home, how to make sure it's properly presented, and how to make sure that it's marketed to that right buyer segment that you're trying to target. Because in this market, there is a lot of competition. There's more homes than we've seen listed at any given time over the past 5 years for any given month. So it's really important that as you're going into selling your home and getting it on the market, that you are aware of your competition, you're aware of everything else on the market and how your home stacks up. We still see a lot of people in this market not necessarily able to get the price that they got back in 2021, 2022 during the pandemic, because those prices have come down and they're just now starting to go back up if they have gone above where they were before at all. For example, some condos, when they were bought right before the pandemic started, they went down a lot in value and have not quite come back up to where they were prior to the pandemic. So it is important that you're aware of how much you can sell for and the cost of selling, because a lot of people in this market are not able to recoup all of their costs because the market has fluctuated so much. If you are thinking about going to market, it's best to plan ahead early. Make sure you're watching the market every week. Make sure you're looking at what's going on to the market and seeing how you can stand out from the competition in this market. Now let's jump into the condo stats. This week we saw 33 fewer listings hit the market at 235 new listings. Pending listings, we saw an increase of 21 here week over week at 203, and sold listings were down by 5 at 123. So we see a lot of listings on the market, not quite as many going under contract in the condo market. Now when we look at residential, single family homes and townhomes, these numbers are up. We're at 719 new listings in the past 7 days. That's up 77 from last week. That is one of the highest numbers we've seen this year for the Seattle market. Again, like I said, the most that's been on the market so far. Number of pending listings is up by 35 at 621. So almost pacing with the number of new listings. And then sold listings is up by 44 at 386. Obviously, these numbers are fluctuating a lot every single week. We have seen consistent increases in the number of homes coming on the market because we're right in that seasonal peak of what you should expect in this market. But if you have been waiting on the sidelines, like I said, as a buyer, and you're not impacted by the stock market, you have some money saved away, now could be the time, well, it really is, not could be, is the time to get into a home because you don't have as much competition. Homes are starting to sit on the market longer. You can actually negotiate on those prices. Now, when there's uncertainty, is really the best time to get a deal. If you're a seller, be aware of this. Be aware that buyers are having more options, and that if you're coming to market, you need to make sure that your home is compelling to those sellers, to those buyers, that they really are interested in your home and that it's priced well, giving them a good opportunity to come in and purchase it. As always, if you want to chat with us about your strategy for going to market when you're listing your home or for buying a home, reach out. You can text to set up an appointment or email, and we're more than happy to meet with you for free over Zoom and talk to you about the strategy that could be right for you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.